Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. And in the theme of this show being about nothing too serious, nothing too political, nothing, that's going to actually make people upset about anything really. There isn't really much going on this week at all. I mean, the JFK files were announced and, things were declassified from those. It didn't really catch my attention, to be honest. I'm not the type of person that really was too invested on like what was going to be revealed in terms of the JFK files. I think I'm much more tuned into the UFO disclosure than anything else at the moment. The JFK thing, there's some things in there that's like, whoa, a lot of stuff was revealed, but also like, I think a lot more needs to come out before we could, truly make some real, before we can actually, tell something that is like really shocking, like, oh boy, what is actually going on. I'll be honest, like I just like glanced at a couple of documents and kind of just left it at that. I saw some things about Israel, saw some things about I think it was Mossad or something like that. I can't remember which group it was, but nuclear weapons were involved and all that. And it just wasn't really my cup of tea, I'll be honest. I wasn't really too interested to even care all that much about the JFK files. Yes, to some people it's going to matter, to others not as much as them. But for me, you guys know where I stand. I am more of a UFO, like wanting that to be declassified, as soon as possible. That is my thing. That and like Bigfoot being declassified would be extraordinary for someone like me. Nessie would be extraordinary for someone like me. The abominable snowman would be something that would be, very interesting. And the Yeti, any like monster that is like real, or aliens that could be real, if those were declassified, I would be, I'd be sinking my teeth to all those, documents that would be released to the public. JFK files, not so much. I mean, yes, it's something. It's a move in the right direction. Like, in terms of knowing what the truth is about certain things that have happened in this country and even in the world. But it's just not something I'm that interested in. I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure if like I was more like, if I like lived during the JFK era or was like more familiar with it, then I'd be like more in tuned, and I would be more interested in those files. But since I didn't really care all that much, I gotta be honest, it just wasn't really something that caught my eye that I would care that much about. But again, they know the key to my heart, what I'm looking forward to, what I really want to know. So I'm not gonna go super insane about it. Once we get like some movement on like really what's going on with UFOs, UAPs, you whatever you want to call them, aliens in general, then I'll be like I'm all ears, guys. What do you got? What do you want to tell me that I don't already know? Because there's a lot that we don't know about those things. We don't know a whole lot of what is out there, of what we have come in contact with. What is the possibilities are endless. I don't know what is out there. I would like to know. I would like to know a lot. I think that it's important for us to know these things. Even if it's something like that's like not as important to me as the JFK files. It's a good thing that people know what actually happened and who was involved with it all. and how it went down. That is something that I think that is, a move in the right direction, which is a lot better than a move in the wrong direction. Let's be honest, like that is so much more, you know, to me, like, it builds trust within the people who are putting out this information, I think. And there's like, you know, so much distrust and so much lying that goes around in the politics and all that, that when we can get some actual news, and not just like news but the truth, like, and then you could say like that, like, it's healing in a way, like we are healing the political sides, I guess you could say, the political spectrum that we live in today, because we live in the political spectrum where every issue is so hot button. Every issue is so polarizing when it doesn't even need to be. Like we shouldn't really, we should not be up in arms over like issues that have like, don't really involve us at all, or don't really consider our well-being whatsoever. It's weird because when, I think that us as Americans, right, we are a country of people that believe that we are doing the best that we can to support us and to support other countries that might need our help. We still kind of feel like we are like the superhero of the world. Like we are the power that can help out other countries that might need help. That's how I view it. I probably should not view it that way, but I do, because it is kind of like what we become. After we kind of like got involved in World War II, which we weren't supposed to get involved in, we kind of became this ultimate power, ultimate global power of resources, economy, military, and I mean, hell, like the American dream is like the standard where a lot of people who don't, live here, who want to come here, aspire to achieve one day. We have that. That is like ingrained in our brains of like, being able to work your job, live your life, go out on the weekends, have a family, have a house, have a car, be able to put money away for retirement, retire, live a good life. That's like kind of like what everybody here kind of aims for when they're working in this country, or when they want to come here. And that's all kind of like ingrained in everybody's brain here. And it's just like something I feel that made us unique in a way. And when more people want to come to your country, want to be a part of your country, the stronger you're going to get, one way or another. You're gonna get stronger, and that not only like influences people that want to come to the country, but the people that already live in this country are going to be striving for that goal as well. And that's something that I think, I don't know, I've never traveled to other countries, obviously, but I've never heard of like the Canadian dream or the Italian dream or the British dream, or the Iraqi dream, the Saudi Arabian dream. I've never heard of that whatsoever in my life. So you only hear about the American dream. And is it really? All I know is American customs, American culture, American values, American tradition. That's all I really know, right? And I don't know how other countries operate, if they even have the same type of like mindset as we as Americans do. Like, we as Americans, I feel like, are a very, very, very hardworking country. Now, people like to call us lazy, but I mean, we are not a country that has a siesta in the middle of the day when businesses strip don't even do any business, right? We have 8-hour work days, 5 days a week. We don't have no midday break. Sure, we get like a lunch every day, a lunch hour for lunch, but that's about it. But no like break in like the business day of just like nothing happening for 2 hours. Everyone just goes and takes a nap, right? Now, I know people don't necessarily take naps, but businesses do shut down for about 2 hours in those places in Europe. But we don't have that in America. It's always go, 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 which I've said on this podcast a few times. Wouldn't you rather be in the go, go, go than just doing nothing? When you're doing nothing, I feel like you don't know. I mean, if you're conditioned to be busy, a busy society, and you got time to do nothing, you're not really putting in your time into doing anything productive. And then you're just gonna not do anything, which is, I would say not a very good thing. But I would also say like sometimes it's good to have those type of breaks in the day to kind of reset your brain a little bit. Maybe not for a full 2 hours. I think 1 hour is fine, but maybe not in the way that Europe does it, And of course, like, I don't know how other countries work as well. Maybe they have an incentive for like, maybe they just have a different life than we do, We're called the land of the free, right? Home of the brave. I've always been accustomed to like, what does that even mean? What makes us free? What can we do? I mean, things are not free. Like, I can't just go and buy like a bottle of water or just go get a bottle of water from a store and be like, well, I live in the country of the freedom, so this is mine. I've never like, freedom is like, I mean, we still gotta freaking like go on green. Red means stop, green means go. So like, what necessarily does it mean by the land of the free? I guess like you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever job you would like, which is true. It's a fact. If you want to become a teacher, you can become a teacher. It takes a lot of work, but you can become one. If you want to be a surgeon, you can do that. An astronaut, you can always do that. I remember back when I was a kid, there would be career days. Not like in movies and TV shows when you would bring your mom or dad and they would give presentations of what they do, as a job. I mean, like, you would have like a career day where you would like, the homeroom class would like, be like your base. And throughout the day, for us at least, we would go to other classrooms, and other classrooms had like specific fields and, of like what type of careers you would want to venture into to have as your career when you were an adult. And I remember like there was, the very traditional job, career fields were in different classrooms. There was doctor, there was accountant, there was salesman, there was teacher, dentist. What are some of the run of the mill jobs that are like you would say is a basic job, like a really not like a boring job, not like a meaningless job, but like a job that's very common in in this country. I think that there might have been like scientists, there might have been like archaeologists, there might have been like very academic jobs, right? Wasn't a whole bunch of like mechanics. There wasn't like a bunch of like janitors. There was no like fast food employee. There was none of that. It was all like the job that they will want you to get in the future, where they could say sit back and be like, you know what, as teachers we succeeded. I have this many of my students I graduated in this year. 5 are accountants, 4 are teachers, 3 are dentists, and 1 is a surgeon. Like that's kind of counting as like a win. Like this percentage of the class that you had got actual pretty good careers where they could excel, do better, earn more, and retire at a reasonable age, right? Could you imagine a career day now? What it would be like now? As a kid. Now, my career day was when I was in junior high. I was about maybe 13 or 12 years old when we had our first career day. What could the kids be career days, options be nowadays? Like, what do you think that they are putting in career days for today's youth, right? Today's, I guess you could say, doomed youth. And when I say doomed, I mean like doomed as in like they have a wacky perception of what jobs are. Are we going to be going into different classrooms, and one is like TikTok influencer, one is an Instagram influencer, one is a Twitch streamer, one is a YouTube creator, another one is a I don't know what's a fucking like a stupid like talentless job that these people want nowadays that requires no school but a bunch of luck and no real hard work. Streamer, influencer, whatever, that type of crap. Now, I'm sure it's not like that at all, but I doubt that these kids now want to have an actual real-time job. I've said this before a few episodes ago that streamers have become influencers to a crazy, crazy, magnitude. How much they're viewed, by the public and by the youth. So many people, so many young people look up to these guys as idols and as goals. Like their career, their path is goals. And I want to achieve that is my goal by creating content. There's way too much of that, There's way too much of that. I mean, I guess I am considered a content creator, right? But I also work and have a full-time job, and I also do this. So I'm not really like, this don't pay the bills, unfortunately. Now it could in the future if y'all stick around, but at the moment it don't. So I know I have a brain. I know what's going to pay the bills and what is not. So I must maintain, say, job to pay bills, and then do this out of passion and love as a podcaster, as somebody who is able to articulate their thoughts in a somewhat entertaining and somewhat of a clear way while also working a full-time job. Now, I'm no master at either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a perfectionist. I try my hardest. But, I just don't think that any kid should be looking at like TikTok or Instagram and be like, this is it. This is my path. This is my calling. This is my destiny. I'm going to make a living off of, YouTube and Instagram and X and TikTok, and this is it. This is my ticket to making money. I think that's a very, very, very dangerous way to look at life when you're that young. like, oh, I'll just start making videos on TikTok and I'll get rich. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best business practice, the best outlook of how to make an income. Because as much as we want to, just kind of forget about it, those content creating jobs, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, those aren't really the most like secure positions of to attain an income. They're not really that most, you know, I guess, you shouldn't, I wouldn't say comfortable, right? Stable. Stable. They're not the most stable professions that you could get into. I wouldn't even call it a profession. I would just call it like a job, I guess you could say. Not the most stable. I'll be honest. Like, you really need to get, the people that make that much money on those platforms found the pot of gold, in honor of St. Patrick's Day being this week. Those guys have found the jackpot, the gold at the end of the rainbow. They found it. Whatever it is that they do, whatever angle they choose to, make content in a way, entertain the masses, because that's what it really is, right? Content creation is not just about making a video and getting people to watch it and then getting a paycheck from that video, which I don't even know if that's how it works. I assume that there is a way for you to link your bank account to Instagram to, for them to pay you out however much, revenue or traffic your piece of content gives to that platform, right? Now, I don't know exactly how that works or how that's broken down. I don't really have any experience in that whatsoever. But I can see that I can tell that there's probably a lot of hurdles you gotta clear to get actually paid on those platforms, and determining how much eyes you can get on whatever you're putting out there. Is it actually getting the eyeballs? Is it being thrown into people's algorithms? Are you going viral? Remember when going viral was a thing of like the 2000 teens, where videos would just go viral? Like, that was a thing that we would say from time to time when things went viral. I remember when Gangnam Style was, when that came out, that might still be like the highest viewed video in YouTube history. Gangnam Style, I think it has like maybe 2 billion views on YouTube at the moment, maybe even more. But that's like more than 1/4 of the population on the planet that has seen that video. So that alone is like the most viewed thing probably ever created by human beings, right? Definitely more viewed than any big budget movie that's ever come out. Definitely more than any government official address to the public has ever been recorded. No, it was like some South Korean pop star who decided to make a banger of the century. You might not like the song Gangnam Style, but the numbers are there to back it up, and its impact on society. I mean, I remember when that came out, everybody was doing that little dance, singing the song Oppa Gangnam Style. Like, I don't even know what Gangnam Style means. I don't even know what the song is what the song lyrics mean. It's all in Korean, so I have no idea what's being said. It could be something that I totally don't agree with. It could be something that I totally don't even think that should be in a song. I don't even know what that means. Gangnam Style? I still don't know. I don't even think I even looked up what it meant when the song came out. Normally what you would do is, what a lot of people do, when they hear something in a different language for the first time, they want to know what it means. That's the curiosity that I think that we all share as human beings who come from different backgrounds, who come from um, different parts of the world. Like if you're from America, right? But you're not from like let's say you're from a state that doesn't really have a whole lot of like I'm Mexican American. I live in California. I don't speak fluent Spanish, but I know a lot of Spanish words, right? So I know like um hola, adios. I know what that means, right? But if you're somebody who doesn't know any Spanish, right? And you hear words for the first time, you're going to ask somebody who knows those words or someone who might know, or you might even ask the internet, hey, what does hola mean? What does adios mean? What does como estás mean? And you're going to find the answer from someone, something, somewhere, right? With Gangnam Style, not that many people that I know did the research or asked a fellow Korean what that meant. Not one person that I know actually did that. Why is that? Why did we not have the curiosity to actually ask somebody what those words meant? We just kind of we just forgot about we just kind of forgot that it was a different language. We thought that the song was so good back then we didn't even care. It was too much of a trend for us to even care what it actually meant in our native language. Or was it that people were also annoyed by the song, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to know what it meant? It could be many things. In fact, it could be all those things. Whatever reason it was for you, you probably don't even know what it means. I don't either. And I don't really care either. I don't want to know. Isn't that kind of weird? We didn't care enough to figure out what it meant. We just knew it was Gangnam Style. And that was it. And it just kind of was just left alone. It took the world by storm. Everybody was dancing to it, doing the dance, putting that shit on Instagram and Vine and Twitter back then. People were posting it. Celebrities were posting it. It was all over the place. Vine. Who remembers Vine? If you're too young to remember Vine, you're probably too young to be listening to the show. I'll be honest. I'm an old man. I talk about old things. And Vine back then was probably like the pinnacle of short form content. In terms of you as a creator, you only got 7 seconds to win over an audience. 7 seconds. You better have something that's good, that people can remember you by, and then people can keep on watching whatever you put out. You've only got 7 seconds. Good luck, pal. That, I think, honestly, is what kind of kicked off this entire influencer, not craze, but passion and drive and people who want to be influencers. Sure, Instagram was there, but it was mainly pictures. It was only pictures at the time. Twitter was pictures, videos, and posts, but it wasn't nearly as easy to view as Vine was or Instagram. So Vine at that time was the only platform that you could view video form content, very, very short video content, and at a high rate. You can get through so many videos within 1 minute on Vine, and you only had 7 seconds to be blown away and to start just wasting your time on Vine. They call that thing, they call that now doom scrolling, where you just keep on scrolling. It's normally used on when referencing TikTok, like you just keep scrolling up, swiping up, and just keep on going. That was when I believe doom scrolling was like really, really like taking effect on people when Vine was popular. Because let me tell you this, I had a Vine account. I posted maybe one or two Vines. Vine is now deleted, so you probably can't even find that. But I did try to get involved in Vine. However, I was more of a Vine consumer than a Vine user, which I don't mind. I think that, if you're not the most creative, if you're not the most, this might not be my speed of content to create. As you can tell, I'm a podcaster, so short form content is not really my cup of tea. More of the long form content man. So you can only imagine how I viewed Vine. I respected it. I respected the amount of, people on it that actually had the drive and actually had the power and the creativity to get me to watch a 7-second video and for me to walk away either laughing or, admiring it or appreciating it. So many people, though, that started on Vine that got popular when I was younger that I've now since I haven't seen in a long time. Either they went to TikTok, or after, it would have been actually Instagram after that, and then TikTok, and then YouTube Shorts, and then so on and so on, Reels. Not a lot, stick around and doing the same thing. I mean, how could you? How could one person want to keep doing those making those videos, those short form videos for content, for entertainment, for other people? Some people just get burnt out. People get bored. People find other hobbies, other interests, other things to support their income, to provide their income, whatever you call it, to support their living. And there's a lot of different things out there that you could do besides doing those type of things, right? But I remember Vine was like the first one. Without Vine, there ain't no Instagram videos. Without Vine, there's no Instagram Reels. Without Vine, there's no TikTok. I want to say that TikTok came out in 2017, 2016. I want to say that Vine might have came out in 2012. I might be wrong on that, but it was around that time. I'm just going to Google it real quick because I think that this is important for us to know exactly when did Vine come out. Let's see. Vine came out June 2012. So that was my high school graduation in June of 2012. And let me see. When did Vine die? And it died January 17th, 2017. It was shut down by Twitter at that time. When did TikTok come out? September 16th. TikTok came out in 2016. So you could say that TikTok coming out was kind of like the Grim Reaper awakening for Vine. Its time was numbered. Its days were numbered. There was not going to be many video-only sharing platforms and that the internet could host. It was about to monopolize. And it monopolized very quickly. Less than a year, Vine was gone. It was toast. Um, it just could not sustain itself compared to TikTok. TikTok was a force. It still is a force. But TikTok now is it's another beast. I mean, when it was banned for a while, I was thinking to myself like, what are so many of these people going to do now that they can't use TikTok? Will they migrate? Will they adapt? And it was maybe banned for like what, 8 hours, and then it came back. Um, it's wild to think that these apps monopolize and cannibalize others. You know, we live in a world where everything is so monopolized. Everything is so like there's one or there's none. There's only like really one video sharing website out there, and that's YouTube. Besides that, I mean, I think that there's Rumble, and then maybe that's it, but not even like to the size of YouTube. And not that many companies or corporations are even on other video sharing sites. They mainly just use YouTube. Same with like social media. Like, I mean, there's X and then there's Threads, but like, one is much more popular than the other. One is much more used more frequently and more vastly than the other. I mean, it's not even really a competition when you think about it, you know? And you look at other businesses, right? There's two main brands of cola in the United States. There's Coca-Cola and there's Pepsi. Those are the two. Luckily they both have a legacy and a history where one could stay alive and actually like they could actually both, they actually have enough of an audience and enough of a fan base on both sides where they could both stay alive. But if you were to launch another cola brand today up against Coca-Cola and Pepsi, that shit would not last a year. I just don't see it happening. It's just too much of a monopoly for anyone to break out. Which in a way, you would think to yourself like, is not really the American way. Having one company, one or two companies that people depend on for their soda drinking needs, right? It's not something that we're really, known for, having multiple options for one specific need, right? If you want to watch football, American football, you don't watch the UFL. You don't watch the XFL. No, you watch the NFL. And that is all. That is what you are going to watch. That is what we provide. That is, quote unquote, the best football league in America. And that is what you're going to get. Now, if you are a soccer fan in Europe, let's say you're in England, right? And your team is not in the Premier League. Well, there are other leagues out there and with other teams that you can support just as passionate as you can Premier League teams. And that's completely allowed and okay, Now, in America, we kind of have the UFL and the NFL, going on at different times of the year. So one doesn't take viewership away from the other, right? But in soccer, I'm pretty sure in Europe, they're all going on at the same time. And they're just competing at against each other for viewership and all that shit, I guess. But like in here, in America, it's just one league. There is one football league. There is one basketball league. There is one baseball league. That is all. That is pretty much it. It's only one. Sounds a little communistic. It sounds a little bit like communism. There's only one option for all these things that you would like. There isn't much of a range of variety, you know. But hey, I mean, we're used to it, I guess. Think of this, right? Let me kind of break it down even more in a way how things are viewed, and like things in this country are just boiled down to like one option and that's it. Like one option is and it's the best option, right? If you're into building models of like, things from like pop culture, right? You want to build a model of a star destroyer in Lego, then you buy the Lego of that, and that is all. There are no other companies out there that are as big as Lego that you're gonna be like, oh, I want a Mega Bloks Star Destroyer. No, that's just not even heard of. That shouldn't even come out of your mouth. You should say, I want the Lego Star Wars Star Destroyer. That's what they're gonna want you to say, because that is the brand of building block toys that is the number one brand in the world. That is it. That's number one. You want to build a model of something from a movie or a TV show or a game that they sell, it's most likely going to be Lego. It's monopolized. There's no other company that makes building block toys where you can make models of things that from your favorite TV shows and movies out there as big as Lego. Lego is the one. They have monopolized the market. They've cornered the market. So it is them or nobody else. Not Mega Bloks, not Roblox, nobody. Nobody out Legos Lego. You know how Pizza Hut was trying to no one out Pizza Hut? That is like pretty much Legos' view. No one out Legos Lego, pretty much. It is us or no one else. And let's be honest, man. Lego is a super popular brand who has ventured into many territories when it comes to making replicas or like models of like things from pretty much anything you can think of. A movie, a TV show, a book, a video game, a cartoon, to models of cars, to flowers, shoes, anything, pretty much anything you can think of is going to be, has like a Lego version, right? It's available for anyone to build. Now, me personally, I'll be honest, when I was growing up, Legos were all right. They were fine. They weren't my favorite, but they were okay. And I appreciate how like Legos are kind of like puzzles, for people out there. Puzzles are good because they get your brain to work. They get your brain to tick. They get your brain to engage in itself, to try to build something that, is pretty much only able to be built the way it's supposed to be with zero mistakes. You make one mistake building a Lego, it ain't going to be right. Everything coming after that is going to be wrong. It's not going to fit properly. It's going to look weird. It's going to be a little off. It's not going to stand right. It's not going to look right. And you have to start over. Lego, to me, was always frustrating. I'm not a smart man. I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I can't build Legos quickly. I don't build them at all, actually. And I never was the best Lego builder out there. I could not do it for the life of me. I'm not a Lego guy. I am, if I was someone like that, I would probably just collect a model that looked really good. If it was like a Star Wars TIE Fighter, right? Am I going to build a Lego model of that and have that in my house? No, I'll just buy like a really sick replica miniature figure of it that looks exactly like the TIE Fighter. I would not want to buy a Lego that looks like a Lego and it be whatever it's supposed to be. Um, that's just not what I'm gonna do. Um, and when I think about it, I've never really been into Legos that much because I feel like when you look at a Lego model of something, it never really looks like what you want, 100% wise. And that's always been like my main drawback of Legos. It's like, well, yeah, but it's a Lego. I mean, cool, you can build it and it's like a process and you're building it and you're growing an attachment to it and it's like a completion thing, but it don't look like that. It look like a Lego version of that. And I don't want that. I want whatever it's supposed to look exactly like it. Not like in a Lego version. No disrespect, but like that's just not what I'm gonna go for. So never really been a big Lego guy. I understand the hype. I understand the popularity, and I understand the the drive and the passion and the intrigue and the hobby that it supplies with, wanting to build something from start to finish, wanting to create something, wanting to see it go from these pieces that look like shit to this entire model. I understand the process of it and why people do it, but it just never really was my thing. Never was. You know what was my thing though when I was younger? That was created by Lego was Bionicles. Bionicles were my shit back in the day, man. If you don't know what Bionicles are, man, they were like pretty much Lego action figures, but not really made out of Lego blocks, but like a new form of like building an action figure. Like with like parts that could move, much more fluid than Lego bricks and blocks. Things that could be turned around, maneuvered. Like I said, like they were like action figures, right? So you could actually make them walk and stand and different stances and all that. They weren't as clunky as Legos, and they just looked really cool. I remember when I was in elementary school, like Bionicle was just like the main thing that everybody was into back then. My friends were all into Bionicles and Lord of the Rings back then. Like action figures. Like that was just my shit back then, man. And I was like one of the only dudes in elementary school that actually went to the theater to watch The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I believe I was in 4th grade when that movie came out in 2003. And I saw it in theaters. And man, that movie blew my mind on how epic movies could be, on how cool and like big movies could actually be. That was the one that was like, dude, wow. I couldn't believe that I actually saw it in theaters. Like it was when it came out too. I didn't see no extended cut. I just saw the theatrical cut. And by the way, I think this past weekend, The Lord of the Rings was on. And I actually did end up seeing The Fellowship of the Ring, the theatrical cut, by the way. And it is so different because I'm an extended version guy. Like that, I live and die by The Lord of the Rings extended cut. That is my jam. There's nothing that is more needed to view as a movie watcher than the Lord of the Rings extended editions for The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. Like, those are, in my opinion, extended versions that need to be viewed, that absolutely need to be viewed. There's movies out there that have extended versions that don't really add quite enough substance where I could say that it's worth watching it over the theatrical cut. Because when you look at a movie, right, the theatrical cut is what the director really, really wants the audience to watch. Most movies nowadays don't even have extended versions, extended editions. They just have the theatrical and like a couple of deleted scenes, and that's all. But in looking at the Lord of the Rings trilogy with the extended versions that add a lot of time to it, I think the first one adds 30 minutes. Second one adds like 45 minutes. The other one adds over an hour of extended footage. And I could comfortably say each and every one of those extended versions is totally worth the definitive way to view that movie. The definitive way. Like, there's no way that I could, in my own good conscience, say, no, you don't need to watch the extended version. You don't need to. I would be like, no, that is the only way to view it. I'm sorry. But, hey, if you don't want to spend 4.5 hours viewing The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King extended version, then you're not worthy enough to watch that film. I'm sorry. You're not worthy enough to view what Peter Jackson created. Like, if you're not willing to sit there and watch, like, no, it's too long. No, I'm sorry. You're just not worthy. It's like wielding Thor's hammer. You're just not worthy to watch it. And I can tell you this too. Another movie that came out a long time ago. Not that long, but long enough. Was a movie that, for some reason, when I was younger, I really was super intrigued in this movie. And I was young when it came out too. Very young. I'm talking about 2007's I Am Legend. Another movie that I saw in theaters. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good movie. Very sad. And very entertaining. A little, I said sad, but also a little depressing, I'll be honest. But very much a good movie to view. It's about Will Smith's character being the last man on Earth in a world ridden of people from a deadly virus that he survives with his dog in New York City by himself. And there is a theatrical cut ending and a alternate ending in the movie. And, you know, I was okay with the way that the movie ended in the theaters. I get it. I understand. It was fine. It was good, actually. It's a good ending. But I love the alternate ending so much more. And I think that movie, as a one-off movie, just a movie being a movie, right? Like, no franchise, no sequel plans, no spin-off, no TV show, continuation, nothing like that. That movie itself as a movie is a great movie. And how like I believe like movies should just be made nowadays. Like, I know that was back in 2007, and it's almost going to be 20 years ago. In 2 years it'll be 20 years since that movie came out. I saw it in theaters. That to me is a movie that needs to be watched with I think two viewings. One with the theatrical cut, and then with the alternate ending cut. I think both are worth watching and both worth experiencing in full. To be honest, because it's like almost like two different movies with those endings. It really is. Watching them in the lens of both, with both different endings, it's wild. And I don't even know why. I'd be honest that the movie had an alternate ending, as if they were gonna plan a sequel back then. They might have, but they're actually making a sequel to it now, I think, with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. So that to me is giving off vibes of like Gladiator 2, where I'm like looking at this project and like, should this even be made, guys? And I have to say, as a fan of I Am Legend, like a giant fan of I Am Legend, and this isn't a franchise movie. This isn't like a blockbuster franchise. This isn't like a where you can, spin off and make more content and have people keep continuing to watch this type of shit. This is a single movie that I think is well made and deservedly like has a big fan base of just being a good movie. And you know what? Kudos to that, because they just don't make movies like this anymore that have a lasting impact, that tell a good story, where you're like, you know what? I don't need a continuation. I don't need any more of this world. I don't need any more of this. I already have what I need in this movie. It's everything you want and more. It's sad. It's depressing. It's also a little bit uplifting. It's got some good moments in it, but it's just an experience of a movie where it's like, you know what? You need to watch it in theatrical and alternate to like really get like two different like viewpoints of that movie. And I just think that, they don't make movies as good as they used to. Lord of the Rings, I Am Legend. I was talking to my friends about this actually recently. When my friends asked me, like, when's the last time you went to the movies? And I was like, oh, that's easy. Deadpool and Wolverine. And he's like, what? That long ago? I was like, yeah, dude. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, there hasn't been a movie that I wanted to see in theaters in almost a year. I think that Deadpool and Wolverine came out in July of last year, and it's already March. More than halfway through March, about to be April, and I haven't gone back to the theaters. There's been nothing that I wanted to see in theaters. I don't even know, like the movie business has got to be rough right now. Like really, really rough. Like there's nothing out there right now that I can think of that is like pulling people into the theaters. Yeah, there was just Captain America, but right now there's just nothing. They're just waiting for. I mean, I'm waiting for Superman. That is my like no doubt, no brainer. Like I'm going to the theaters to watch Superman, 100%. If you're not into Superman, I mean, the movies might be a little cooked. The movies might be chalked right now. I ain't gonna lie. Because what do we got right now? What just came out recently? What was it? Captain America. We had last year, at the end of last year, we had Mufasa. We had Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Now we're just getting the remake of Snow White. I mean, there ain't much out right now. So like movie theaters, movie business is just flat out struggling right now. Not making any money. Not providing any sense of escapism at the moment. Right now it's kind of dull out there for the world of entertainment. You don't have that many good shows. You have maybe one that's really captivating people in Severance, which I haven't seen, probably won't see, don't have an interest in seeing, but I heard it's very, very well, very good. Um, Besides that, in the TV world, there's not really much. Um, I don't know. I mean, there's just like nothing really out there right now. Nothing to consume in terms of like scripted entertainment. Well, there was that one Bob Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet that people liked, sort of, I guess, but like not really big movies that draw the masses. Yeah, I'm gonna look up right now upcoming movies 2025 because right now we are in a very dry spell. And it's not very good. Let's see. Maybe we should go chronologically. Oh, okay, hold on. Coming soon on Rotten Tomatoes. We have I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. These are all foreign movies. Let's see what kind of movies we got for Americans that we can view. Not much. Not much. Jesus Christ, what is coming out? I mean, if this is all we got. Oh, next month, Minecraft. A Minecraft movie. That could be interesting. That could make money. Also could not make money. What else we got? Not a whole lot. The Amateur, that's like a thriller movie with Rami Malek, Lawrence Fishburne. That movie Warfare, which I kind of want to see, but not too sure. I don't know. It looks like a decent movie, but it's made by A24. They just made Civil War, which I saw like maybe half of it, and I was just like, this is kind of like a mismarketed movie in my opinion. What other American movies we got? Sinners, I've heard of that one. That's American. That's coming out next month as well. There isn't a whole lot. Episode 3 of Star Wars is coming back into theaters in April as well. But Jesus Christ, man, what we got cooking? Nothing apparently. Wow. I'm actually shocked how there's no movies that are coming out anytime soon that are going to drive people to the movie theater at all. Final Destination Bloodlines, that could be something that kind of gets people going just because it's freaking wacky and crazy. Lilo and Stitch in May, that can get people that come to the theaters. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, also in May. Now, with that being the Final Reckoning, is this the last movie? Because if it is, that's going to be sad. But I'm going to see that shit for sure. Okay, so we got one movie that I'm going to see for sure. Mission Impossible for sure. How to Train Your Dragon is in June. The live action remake. Elio in June as well. F1 in June. Okay, we got something here. Into July. Jurassic World Rebirth. Then Superman. Both going to go see that shit. Fantastic Four in July as well. Probably not. All right, so we don't got movies really until May. Freakier Friday in August. That could be kind of cool. That could be fun. Conjuring in September. Let's see what else. A Michael Jackson movie in October. Oh, Tron in October. Is that really going to come out in October? I don't know about that. Wicked 2, November. Zootopia 2, November. Avatar 3, December. Yeah, man, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Seems a little scarce out there. Seems a little scarce. A little not so inspired by the movies that are coming out, man. I only count like maybe 3 or 4 that I'll see this year. Right? Mission Impossible. Jurassic World Rebirth. Superman. And that might have been it. Oh, Avatar. Those are the 4 I will see. So I'll be going to the theaters maybe at least 4 times this upcoming year. I do want to see this new Karate Kid Legends movie though. But I do know that I have to watch the other movies and then Cobra Kai before I view that, because to tell you the truth, I've never seen any Karate Kid in my life. I've heard that they're pretty good, but I just never seen them. I should get to that. That's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.